Okay, great. So hello, everyone. I'm your chair, Nicole Kerrigan. You can call me Nikki. I'm the VP University and Academic Affairs, as you probably know. I'm going to call to order at 5:41 p.m. on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. We'll start with the Territorial Acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located. Oh, yes. Hello. Sorry. Well, live transcripts. I'll start that again, too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I need to put all the other one. Okay. So, is it working now? The live transcripts. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start again with the territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. Great, so we'll start with a roll call of attendance. I'm aware that, oh yeah, I'll start with myself. So the VP University and Academic Affairs, the chair, that's me, Nikki, or Nicole Kerrigan. Hi everyone, my pronouns, I go by she, her pronouns. My access needs, well, I'm a little bit tired, but surviving. It's not as hot as it was before, so it's a little bit better. I slept weird on my neck, so that's a bit bothering me a little bit, but otherwise I'm okay. I'll let you know if there's anything I need going forward. Our ex officio, Helen, I believe will be coming today. Let's go to our VP External and Community Affairs. So I can see that she posted it in the chat. So she says, my name is Ashana Baran, pronouns she, her. Access needs, I'll be using the chat and have my camera off. May have to leave around 7 p.m., but I'll keep folks updated. Great. Okay, we'll go next to the communications counselor.
Hey everyone, my name is Alan, pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs for the most part are met. I'm still working on my webcam. I think I'll figure out, I don't know, it just hasn't been working, so I think I'm going to crack that within the hour, but yeah, thank you.
That's totally fine. Thank you so much, Alan, for working on that. Okay, so we'll be going on to the FCATSU counselor sent his regrets. We're ratifying those later, hopefully. Next will be health sciences counselor.
Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka. My pronouns are she, her, and for access needs, all my access needs are met today.
Great, thank you so much. And feel free if there's anything that comes up to let us know in the chat. Okay, next will be our sociology and anthropology counselor.
Hello, my name is Arthur, go by he, him. Access are all met, except I might have to have a hard stop at 7 because I will have a meeting with my hearing union by then. So thank you.
Totally understandable. Thank you very much. Okay, so our society staff, they couldn't make it today, so we'll go on to the honored guests that are actually named members of the committee, undergraduate student senators. I'll start with Melissa. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm from the science department, and I actually didn't know I was a part of this committee until the other day.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you so much for being able to come. I'll be going on to Harneer. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Harneer. I go by she, her as well. And I'm from the Faculty of Health Sciences. I'm so sorry I couldn't join you guys last week, but I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you for being here and everyone else also. It's really good. I think the idea of student senators being here is so that they can help advocate for students, because a lot of times they're on the ground and able to actually access students. So I think that's kind of the idea of it, and it's closely related to the job that you do as student senators. So yeah, I'm really excited to have you here. Okay, so we'll be moving on to the consent agenda, and then after the consent agenda will be the ratification of regrets. Okay, so item 4, consent agenda. So I will have to say, be it resolved to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. So if you want to add anything, you can list after we get a mover and seconder. So I will move this. I need a seconder.
Health sign seconds.
I'll sign seconds. Thank you. Okay, I will list in the chat. And if anyone else wants to add anything, feel free to list. I think Arthur, you had an item that you want to add as well. So we can also add that to the discussion. All right. So I will start with this. So I will add a section 6 titled Ratification of Regrets. This is for our FCATSU counselor, Rasko Kokoritsa, because he is currently on an airplane, so he can't be here. So I will add that. I need I'll move this. I need a seconder to add this one.
PP external.
PP external, thank you so much. And then seeking unanimous consent for this to be added. Actually, yeah. Any dissent, the way I'll go with unanimous consent is if you have any dissent, just please raise your hand and use the raise hand function, or if you can't do that, feel free to unmute if there's an issue, prefer raised hand. But yeah, okay, that's good. We'll add ratification of regrets for Rasko. And then Arthur, you listed.
Hi, so I believe we do have a thing from last meeting from 11.2, if I remember correctly, that we can add it on the agenda as well. So this was for content for the community member who wasn't here last week. I had raised a discussion item from prior council meeting that realizing saying that there is a accessibility issue within council document and stuff. So I wanted to open discussion about how we can talk about making things more accessible, even though I do realize that it's both covered in governance or in but it also kind of crosses over to our community as well, I feel like. So so yeah.
Yeah, I think this is great, Arthur. Thank you so much. I suggested a title for it. So 11.2 meeting accessibility improvement discussion. And it'll be submitted by you. Do you think that's a good description of it? Okay, good. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. Indicated in the chat. Great. So I guess, Arthur, would you like to move this one? I'll second it if you move it.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Chair will second it, seeking unanimous consent for this one. Great, we'll add that one as the second discussion item. I also listed, so I have a few here. I will need, after the discussion items, I will add a section 12 for in camera. Because if we're discussing the details of the applications, that is considered personal information, and it is would be a HIPAA violation not to talk about it publicly, because it's people's sensitive information. So I will be adding an in-camera section, and within in-camera, I think it would be 12.2. In-camera would be review of applications, review of member at large applications and selection. And then after that, they'll have to go 13 X camera, and like a motion to like go X camera. So I will move to add in these sections here. And I need a seconder.
Communication.
Okay, communication. Thank you so much. Okay, seeking unanimous consent for this. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for this. Okay, this is the really technical part of the meeting that I will soon get better at. I think I'm already improving, just learning this. So after this, we will move on to our new section 6 for ratification of regrets. So I think it would be be it resolved to ratify the regrets from FCATSU counselor Rasko Koprivica. I move this and I need a seconder.
Communication.
Thank
Oh,
you so
sorry.
much. Thank you so much. Okay, that's good. I think like I'm just thinking about also like the whole Robert's rules thing. I think I can seek unanimous consent for things as well and not look for a mover and seconder sometimes. I have to check on that, but if anyone knows the answer to that, feel free just to unmute. Yeah, I'll figure it out. It's all good. But okay, great. So we got Rasko's regrets there, and then now we'll be moving on to the first discussion item, or the final call for applicants for the member at large positions. For this discussion item, I wanted to talk ex camera just about some of the selection criteria that we may be using when we go through the applications and kind of how we would like to go through the applications today, and to make the meeting as efficient as possible, but not to sacrifice due process. So I'm just looking for suggestions on how we can go about it and how you would all prefer to go through it. So I remember like last week I sent for the people I had a discussion with about the sensitivity of the content of the applications, I sent those people the first call for applications, and then I just sent the jot form responses for the second call to the same individual. So the three that are here, so Arthur, Priyanka, and then Alan, and then yeah, Shauna, we didn't have a chance to talk unfortunately, but yeah, it's just like I'm just looking for suggestions on the best way that we can be efficient when we move in camera, so that we don't have to spend a lot of time there and that we don't have to have a super long meeting. Does anyone just feel free to list, like, how would you prefer this meeting to go? I guess that's the question here. Yeah, but like, do you think we should review the applications one by one? Or like, I guess like, do you think that should be kind of the way of going about it? Or like, do you think I should like talk about kind of the ones that I've like, that stood out to me, and then we can discuss those ones and kind of narrow it down like that? There are almost 50 applications. So that's why.
50.
Yeah, almost.
Wait, the last time I saw it was like 25. What happened?
That was just from the first call. Yeah, Ishana, I can see that you listed. Feel free to go forward.
Sorry, is that loud where I am? I'm just not at home right now, so my volume might be a little weird. Is that okay?
You sound fine, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I'm thinking is, since you said there are 50 applications, I'm down with what you just said about like you going through the applications and then picking ones that you kind of resonate with. And then maybe like as a committee, we can all go through the ones that you picked together. I don't know if others agree with that, but that sounds good to me with what you just suggested.
I can see that Alan and Priyanka did ++, which shows agreement, and Arthur said, I don't mind, and also ++. So I think that works well. I guess like I'll also ask the student senators, do you think that sounds like a fair way of going through it? I just want to make sure everyone has a say. And okay, Harnier said, I agree. Okay, great. And Priyanka listed, yeah, feel free to go for it.
Sorry, I just had a quick question. You might have mentioned this before, but the Excel sheet with the updated applications, because I know the one from last meeting only has like the first 25 or 26. is there another link for the rest of the applications, or is it just going to get updated onto that one as well? I'm not sure if you mentioned this. My bad if I missed it.
Oh, thank you so much. So, yeah, Priyanka, that's a really good question. That's actually something I was trying to sort out before the meeting because I didn't get an Excel sheet with that reflected the addition of the second call for application. So I had to, and I couldn't log into the job form either because I didn't have the credentials. So I had to kind of scramble to like find the actual second call for applications and all the like applications that were in there. So what I ended up doing for that is I got an email that just had the like all the job form responses. The title of that email is SFSS University and Academic Affairs Committee at Large application. So let me just this one's here. I'll just put it in the chat. So I forwarded this email to Priyanka, Arthur, and Ellen. And this email has about 10 applications on it that are in addition to the last ones that we have that were on the Excel sheet. So what I ended up doing was so like what I ended up doing was if you take a look at the Excel sheet, and what I'm going to do is I'll share it like in camera so everyone can see it. It's on the committee. So basically the Excel sheet has submissions starting from May 26th to July 13th. And I used that to see, okay, those are all the applications that were reflected in that Excel sheet. And then I looked at the dates on the job form email that I got. And this one ranges from July 25th to July 28th. And those weren't included in the Excel sheet. So I just used the dates to cross-reference, and then I figured out that not all of it was on the Excel sheet. So for any applications that were after July 13th, you have to look at the email that I sent, and I can also screen share that when we're in camera. And yeah, okay. So I can say I didn't want to overall bias myself as much. I want to be as open-minded as possible when going through these applications. So I didn't spend a huge amount of time trying to select them in my head before I went forward, but I do have an idea of what they do say. So I can kind of talk through my process of what I think would be a good application and qualities I would look for, and we can strive for consensus in the committee and then select people based on that. And I think also, and I want to talk ex camera about what are these qualities I'm looking for the sake of transparency, because this doesn't have to be in camera. So I guess some of the qualities I'm looking for are based on the reflection of the conversation we had in the first meeting about what is our vision for the committee, what are some guiding principles that we should be using when we're doing our work in the committee, and what are some of the values that is reflected by the people that were elected in this committee, but also the students that talk to us. So I think that the overall theme is a very student-centric and student-focused committee that is using ground-up and bottom-up approaches to inform us with what we do in practice. So to be prioritizing student engagement, student involvement, and just overall community building as much as possible. That seemed to be the consensus that we talked about in the first meeting. And I want to use these principles and see which applications reflect what we're looking for. I guess in that sense, but also from the conversations we did have as well afterwards, which were, I remember, I think, Arthur, you mentioned that you think that we should look for a diverse qualification of members, so people that have different experiences and a wide array of different experiences, so they can bring their experiences to the committee, and that we're not having a bunch of people with the same kind of experiences, because it'll bring some element of representation of the student body if we try to gather from different categories. So for example, mature students, people that have experience with accessibility issues, there's a lot of different categories. Yeah, and Arthur, feel free to go forward with adding something.
I'm also thinking after seeing a bunch of applications, because I do understand that we only have 7 seats, and I think as far as the committee goes, it probably best when we select our core 7 members. We can potentially choose 2 more that serve as a backup member in the event that maybe one of them can't make it to the meeting, but they still wanted to participate. That way we can, I want to ensure that everybody in the committee are working with people that we want to work with, you know. So core 7 member, maybe 2, I don't know if the bylaw allows it, but I'm pretty sure we can choose 2 more into the consideration to back up with whatever. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. That's actually something I was thinking about as well. I think that we can unofficially have alternates for this committee, and I know that that actually is something that other committees in a university have. So I'm actually an undergraduate student senator as well as being in the SFSS, and all the committees that I've been involved in SFU have alternates. And those alternates have the same voting rights, but they would attend in the case that a regular member, elected member wouldn't be able to attend. We don't have that provision in our terms of reference. That's something we can add in. And I've talked to Judith about amending our terms of reference and how long that would take. It would take about 2-3 weeks, which isn't actually that long. So what we can do is we can temporarily, I think, have an agreement of like alternates and then have this reflected later on officially in our terms of reference. Just like, and we can work on that in the committee, and probably in the August 9th meeting, we can just workshop that and have a proposal to like add it into our terms of reference. But in the meantime, it can be like an unofficial kind of agreement or understanding that we have. And I think in terms of number 2 sounds good. We can even probably do more. And also one thing that I know is even though we have 7 seats, that's voting seats, we're allowed to have members at large that don't have voting power. They wouldn't be officially recognized, but they would be encouraged to come as well. And I think that's the suggestion that I got when I was talking to other execs as well, to try to find a way for everyone who is motivated to participate in whatever way they can. So I think we can also draft a way to include those members that don't have, I guess, don't make it to the elected seats based on whatever criteria that we're using, and discuss how we can have them be involved. I think that would be a good way of going forward with that. Does anyone have anything else to add? I guess another thing I'm going to add is one of my considerations as well as like people who have reached out to me directly as well, to also say, hey, like I've applied, I'm really interested, and people who have like actually come to these meetings just as students. I consider that a huge plus, and it really shows their motivation. And I think that's a really good thing that we should be looking for. I think maybe before we entirely finalize our selection, what we can do is we can have a preliminary selection of people, like of the 7. I'll reach out to them, and the final deciding criteria would be like their availability and their motivation. Because if we select people and they can't come, that would be a big problem. Number 1, they wouldn't be showing up, right? That's a problem in itself. But number 2, it would affect our quorum, because our quorum requirement is 50% of the elected seats. And if we elect 7 members at large, that actually is more than the 5 counselors that we have in. And if a lot of them don't show up, we can actually fail to meet quorum. So it's really important that these people that we elect will show up, and will show up consistently. So I think that before we finalize like each person, I would have to, and what I can do is I can have conversations with them and just make sure that like they would attend to whatever way, I guess, way that they can foresee, right? Because things can happen. But I would make sure that they can come. And so my suggestion is that we can have like a top like 7 and then like backup few that like we can take the place of the first 7 if like some of them like can't show up to the meetings. Does that make sense? Can I see if that's in agreement with everyone? Feel free to list or indicate in the chat. I see a thumbs up from Alan and Arthur. I see yes from Melissa. Ashana asked for an explanation one more time. Okay, yes, I can do that. So the issue is that if the 7 members at large that we select don't show up, they will actually impact our quorum requirement and we might fail to meet quorum. So it's really important that the members at large that we select can actually show up and will show up on a consistent basis to whatever ability that they can, right? So I was thinking that before we finalize the people that we select, like we can say that these are the people that the committee believes are good to select, and just the final decision will be made on whether they can attend or not, and I can just talk to them, and then we can have a backup few people just in case like the top 7 that we select indicate that like they can't come, then they can be replaced with the backup people, and that can kind of be like the same people that we select for alternates as well. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Ishana, did that help? Shauna said that makes sense, and Arthur said, or we can select alternates. I think that the backup people that we select can also be alternates at the same time, because like it's likely, I think that most, if not all, the top 7 that we select should be able to come or would make time to come. In probably most cases, there might be some cases where, yeah. And Arthur said, I think the more we include to discussion, the better. That way people don't feel let down. Yeah, I really don't want it feels bad because we have like about 50 applications with 7 voting seats. The thing is that if people show up to the committee and are students that are there really consistently but don't have a voting seat, I would be still happy to do what I can to make them feel like recognized. And you know, I still think that there's utility in people showing up even if they don't have a voting seat. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of contributions that can be made, because Arthur said, I think the more we include to discussion, the better. That way people don't feel let down. Yeah. Does anyone else want to add anything? I would like maybe if other people can speak now just with their preliminary thoughts on selection and stuff like that. And I want people to feel valued because they did put in their time for the applications, and it is hard when we get more than we have seats for, and I really don't want people to feel let down. Yeah. I'll just like make space for people to list.
I have a question, Nikki.
Yeah, go for it.
Where are these discussions taking place? Are they taking place on Zoom or are they taking place on a different platform? Like of the 50 people that we are voting in?
Yeah, thank you so much. So for like when we're talking about the actual applications, the committee members will be moving in camera. So that would be the elected counselors, and then so for the undergraduate student senators, that unfortunately like our rules like say that like people, even though they are members, they can't be in camera. So like around that time, I would let you all know, and then you can feel free to leave the meeting, just because after that, there isn't really going to be much at all that we're just going to be adjourning after this election. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this discussion portion that's ex camera, like we can have as much conversation now as possible before we move in camera. So we can involve everyone and have that level of transparency. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it's kind of like a closed meeting versus non-closed meeting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the question. That does help. I'll let anyone else ask questions or bring in any of their comments. Like, do you have any thoughts before we move in camera in terms of what we should be looking for, or any things that we can do to include people that might not get selected? Because I want to make sure that people are included and have the opportunity. Ishana, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and maybe we can like post on the SFSS Instagram and be like, oh, hey, there's a University of Academic Affairs meeting today, because I'm pretty sure these meetings are open to all of membership. So maybe we can just post the link. Also, maybe if folks are willing, like if their applications weren't accepted, we can be like, we can still, if they're willing, like get their emails and like send out them specifically like the Zoom link, so we can have it out on the website. And then if they're willing and like they want to give their emails to us, like their SFU email, we can create like a list and ask like admin if they can create that for us and just send that link. But let me know what others think as well.
Thank you so much. No, that's actually really good ideas. I think that we can be posting, because I want students to attend this, because I really want their student voices and student ideas to be incorporated into the committee and actually lead the committee from the bottom up. So I think that that's like actually having students in the meeting is the best, like a really good way, maybe not the best way, but like a part of like the way of improving transparency and student engagement. So I think that posting the Zoom link, sending emails, like those things that you mentioned, those are all really good, and we can post on our like, I think like as maybe SFSS Instagram and also personal social medias, and do it that way. And Melissa, I see in the chat you mentioned what about a Discord group, and then Arthur said a Discord group would be a good idea, and that he'd be open to one and make one. And then yeah, no, I think that's really good. We can also do that. I think yeah, I will look like at all the things after, and I think honestly we can just go for it. I don't think that there should be any issue with just having a Discord group as well. Yeah, Arthur, I see you listed. Feel free to go for it.
So there is just one tiny bit that I forgot to mention. The Discord group, as far as Discord is concerned, right now Discord group can only allow up to 10 people. So that means that we're gonna have to find alternate different channel if we want to include more people into discussion, because yeah, like we can make a server, of course, but it would have to be an official, because I think the content of what we have right now on the SFSS server is purely for our council usage. So a lot of the channels are pretty much closed. But obviously you want to create a server, we could do that, but we're gonna have to ask whether that is according to bylaw or something else. I don't know, we can figure something out, but this means that right now the only fit to having a Discord group is that it's only including 10 members.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arthur. So I have experience in making Discord servers and Discord groups, and from what I know, having it distinguished as a Discord group is just essentially a glorified group chat kind of thing, just on the Discord platform. It would be very similar to having a Messenger group chat or an Instagram group chat, but having a server would allow us to have different channels, which are different, I guess, waypoints for different types of group chats that can occur, and we can make it really interactive. Yeah. Oh, and Melissa said, yeah, sorry, I mean a server. Yeah. I would be happy to also help with that. I think we can discuss next meeting on whether that's something that we should be we can do and how we should do it. I think I'll also look at the bylaws. There's nothing that prevents us from doing it. And if it's something that the committee decides that we want, then I don't think there should be an issue with it. But that's just from my understanding right now. I'll do a deep dive and look into that now. But is there anything else anyone else wants to say? Otherwise, I'll just move on to the next discussion item, then we can move in camera, just because I'm mindful of the time. Okay, so I'll move on to the next discussion item. It was amended onto the agenda by Arthur. It's 11.2, meeting accessibility improvement discussion, submitted by Arthur Lee. Since you submitted it, I would like if you can do an introduction for this.
Okay, so if you go review on the earlier council meeting, which is if I believe, I'm looking at my calendar right now, that will be July 27th. The student had mentioned that the current state of council meeting, way it was structured, that is not making students easier to understand what council was doing and the way that what the motion was going to pass, and then this even to the language that we use, basically on the structure of the agenda and so on forth. So someone have made a suggestion saying that like we can have, say, for example, a layman version of the agenda where you don't have to remove legal term, but it will make things a lot more easier for people to understand what we're actually doing. So I'm wondering if on that front, with that sort of idea, the starting point, what other accessibility do you think that we can employ a part of the committee and as council as a whole, and to other businesses that we use, so that people can actually feel encouraged to communicate and to have an incentive to actually want to work with us. So that's my introduction.
Thank you so much, Arthur. So I really agree with the idea and the importance of improving our accessibility. And this goes to all our meetings. So whether it's council, committee meetings, or anything else, we use the same kind of structure. We use Robert's Rules of Order in our meetings. And I think it's really important to ensure that students are encouraged to communicate and have incentive to work with us. And if students are finding that the meetings are inaccessible and primarily due to our structure, and the structure being complicated, you know, for example, I remember students were mentioning the wording of motions and the complicated language, according to students, was hard to understand. So that's where the layman's version of the agenda came into the conversation. I had some thoughts on this. I think that we definitely need to improve our accessibility. Like, this is not a negotiable thing. We really need to work on this as a primary thing for us to do within SFSS. And because student engagement is really, really important. We don't want to turn away students just because, yeah, and it is governance territory. But we do have the provision to work on accessibility within here. So we can talk about it and propose things to governance. I guess the issue that I thought of with the layman's version as the sole suggestion, there's obviously going to be other ways to improve this, right? Would be, I guess the issue, so the specific issue is that a layman's version may be considered misleading because a lot of times the intent and the whole overall message of motions and the agenda are really like dependent on the specific word usage and the way the words are used and put together. And a really strong argument can be made that if we provide a layman's version, that it would be misleading and not actually capture the essence of the original motions. And I would caution us from using that as like the sole way of going forward. But I think that we should definitely come up with suggestions that would improve this, because it is an issue. I just don't know if a layman's version of the agenda is the right way to go about it, but there's definitely going to be other ways to do it. So I'll just read Arthur's comment. So he says, I do realize this is governance territory, but I think it overlaps on us as well. So it'd be nice for us to have a discussion on it. And I'm also going to amend it on the council meeting tomorrow. That's what Arthur said. Melissa said, can I add something to Arthur's comment idea? I agree that the structure language is intimidating. Is there maybe a YouTube tutorial, or could we host occasional short workshops to teach how committees work? That's all good ideas. The thing I'm thinking about is with workshops, with things like town halls, the overall structure of those is that it encourages the most engaged students to attend, and those usually are not representative of the overall population of students at SFU, because a lot of students wouldn't put in the time to come to something like that. But that is like something like, again, when we talk about transparency measures and student engagement measures, it's not just a one and done approach, it's a combination of approaches. So it can be one of the many things that we do. because we want to try to get to as many different populations as possible to ensure that what we're doing is representative. So I'm on the side of low barrier, ease of access forms of student engagement that meet students where they're at and make it really easy for them to engage. And that's in contrast to really high barrier things that might be more like workshops and town halls, but those are still things that we can do. I think that we should have a separate conversation on this in the next meeting as well. And I would ask everyone here to think about some suggestions that you have, and then we can bring it to the next meeting. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good way of going forward? Just looking for some feedback here. Sorry, I see a thumbs up from Ellen. I see a yes from Melissa. I see a yes from Arthur, Priyanka, Harneer, Ishana. Oh, Harneer's thumbs up, Priyanka's thumbs up. Okay, great. This is good. Okay, awesome. Great. I think that we'll like table this for now, but please like think of some ideas and bring them to the next meeting. Okay, so let's move in camera. So for this, I will say thank you so much to the student senators that are here. I really appreciate you for being here. Since we're going to be moving in camera, I think the majority of the meeting is just going to be there, and there's not really anything after that. We're just going to be adjourning. So you can stay if you want, but feel free to leave now. And next meeting will be more robust. This meeting was more so an urgent emergency meeting just to address the member at large applications, because that is time sensitive. But yeah, next meeting we'll be talking about a lot of topics, and there'll be a lot that you can add there for all of the student senators. So thank you so much for being here. Do you have any like questions or comments? And I see Harneer, you said thank you so much for being here. Melissa, you have any questions or comments? Anything that you need from me before we go on camera? Nope, thanks. Okay, that's what Melissa. Thank you so much. Okay, I really appreciate you both being here. And I hope to see you next week. Same time, same day. That'll be the 9th, Tuesday the 9th of August at 5:30. Thank you so much. So I will be motioning to move in camera. So this will be 12.1. So be it resolved to go in camera for the remainder of the meeting. Looking for a mover and seconder.
Communication.
Sasu second.
Okay, communications moves. Sasu seconds. Okay, great. Seeking unanimous consent. Okay, seeing no dissent, we will be moving in camera. I will just sign the breakout rooms and sign. I think everyone here is great. Okay, great. Room. Great. Okay, we'll be moving in camera. Feel free to join now. Okay, so we have to motion to go X camera. So be it resolved to go X camera for the remainder of the meeting, seeking a mover and a seconder.
Health science moves.
Seeking a seconder.
DT external.
The external. Seeking unanimous consent. Okay, seeing no dissent, we are moving X camera. I will I'll just list out a motion to extend the meeting to 7:45 p.m. just in case. I will move this, seeking a seconder.
Health science.
Okay, seeking unanimous consent. Let me know if you have any dissent. Okay, seeing no dissent, we have extended successfully to 7:45 p.m. Might not need it, probably won't need it. Okay, now I need to make an amendment to the agenda at this time. Hopefully I'm going to do it right. I need to look into this more, but I'm going to add a new section. This will be a section 14 for new business, because we have already done discussion items, moved in camera, X camera. So this will be in section 14. And it will be to it'll be item 14.1. So it's 14.1, appointments of member at large, be it resolved to appoint as a member at large of the university and academic affairs committee 2022 to 2023 SFSS fiscal year. So that's what it is. So I will move to add this to the agenda. Moved by chair, seeking a seconder.
Health science.
Seeking unanimous consent. Seeing no dissent, this has been successfully added to the agenda. Now we're going to be moving to 14.1. Okay, so now that we are on 14.1, it says the name of it is appointment of member at large. Be it resolved to appoint Gurmahar Singh as a member at large of the University and Academic Affairs Committee for the 2022-2023 SFSS fiscal year. I will move this, seeking a seconder.
Health science.
Seeking unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, raise your hand. Seeing no dissent, this has been carried. Congratulations to Gurmahar Singh for being elected as a member at large of the University and Academic Affairs Committee. And yes, I'll just say as well, we came from in camera, and I will be letting everyone else know about the status of the other spots sometime soon. And we're still in the process of going through everything. So thank you so much. Okay. So now we'll be moving to 18 adjournment, but does anyone else have anything else to say ex camera before we move to adjournment? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a section. Do I need to do that? No, I'll just say that the next meeting is Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 at 5:30. And so same kind of day and time. And yeah, that's going to be our next meeting. Only the most important announcement, honestly. It doesn't need to be official. Anyway, moving to adjournment. This is 18.1, motion UAA 2022-08-02. So be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 7:27 p.m. Seeking a mover.
Health science.
Seeking a seconder.
EP external.
For unanimous consent. If you wish to dissent, raise your hand. Crossing your fingers. Okay, seeing none, this has been carried. Thank you everyone for being here. Looking forward to seeing you next meeting. All right, I'll stop the recording.